Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. First tonight, the state government is calling on teachers to return to the negotiating table, days out from planned industrial action. The strike is likely to cause chaos for thousands of working parents, but there are also those backing educators.
Stepping out to support those in the classroom. Tristan Starwood's daughter has been in the state school system for 8 years. He says many teachers are at breaking point.
Increasing workload and an increasingly demanding role that Tasmanian teachers have. They're still giving as much as they've ever given, but they are increasingly stressed.
His daughter one of thousands impacted on Wednesday. Teachers downing the chalk for 2 hours as their fight with the state government escalates. While it's leaving many like Tristan scrambling, he's backing educators.
Yes, it will be slightly inconvenient, but I think that the industrial action is definitely warranted, yeah.
The opposition calling on the government to get its priorities right.
It's time for this government to negotiate in good faith with our educators, our hard-working educators, to lift student learning across the state.
Feels like something that is got a political motive to it from the AEU. It's disappointing. We didn't want to see this happen.
The minister says the losers will be the children themselves.
We want to see kids being able to go to school and learn. That's the whole intention here. Obviously we have school holidays only next week. It's an important final week for a lot of kids.
The action will take place just days after the government's pay offer for public sector workers was revealed. It's left unions angry, but the government says all employers have limitations.
We want to see a pay rise for our hard-working public servants, including our teachers. That's why we're continuing to work in good faith.
A faith that might be tested in coming weeks. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Drivers are being warned to step on the gas to beat the petrol price hike coming our way. The Australian government's fuel excise returning to its full amount from midnight on Wednesday.
The Bowser burning a hole in the pockets of Tasmanians as the full amount of the government's fuel excise makes a dreaded return.
The immediate benefit and the relief that was passed on to motorists back in March will be the opposite experience this week.
Petrol prices pumping up by around 22 cents per litre, a result of the international oil market's current volatility.
We're looking at a price probably just under $2 for a litre of petrol.
Drivers fuelled with fear for what's to come.
I know the full tanks are so costly anyway, so I'm purely in increments anyway, so $20 here, 20 here, 40 here kind of thing, so yeah, doing full tanks never good for me.
Fuel prices, everything from cost of living and everything like that, so it puts everything a bit of a strain on everything.
Even the state government is concerned about the brewing price hike.
They should extend it, but if they won't extend it, I would call on the federal government to at least taper it off gradually so that people can adjust.
The RACT among very few happy to see the excise back, saying it needs the revenue to improve Tasmania's road network.
This cut should never have been imposed anyway. It was a sugar hit because of the federal election.
With millions of litres of petrol still to be sold under the old regime, industry experts are forecasting it could be up to 6 weeks before Tasmanians feel the full wrath.
If you see a big price jump Thursday morning, shop elsewhere.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
The state's first sexual violence in southern Tasmania report has found people don't feel properly educated about sexual assault but want to be. Researchers examined lived experiences of people from Hobart, Huonville and Rokeby.
The community's quite concerned around sexual violence within relationships and within the context of families, and within the context of relationships with young people.
The report recommends an increase in support services with a strong focus on vulnerable people and regional areas. The state government will be facing pressure over its stadium commitments when Parliament resumes tomorrow after being suspended following the Queen's death.
We are very much looking forward to asking questions on behalf of Tasmanians who cannot fathom how a government could prioritise a stadium on the waterfront when so many Tasmanians are struggling to find an affordable home.
The Greens will also be pushing for Labor to back the government's poker machine harm minimisation measures. multi-million-dollar park and ride facility has opened at Kingston, encouraging more people from Kingborough and the Huon to use public transport. Providing space for 174 cars and 26 bicycles, supporters say the site will help reduce congestion on the southern outlet. Metro Tasmania also confident it can meet customer demand.
Our staff work very hard, both the driver staff and our back of house staff, to make sure the services operate as well as they can.
It's going to be much easier for people to get to the city efficiently and hopefully reduce some of those very frustrating bottlenecks.
It was due to open earlier this year, but construction was delayed due to the discovery of Aboriginal artefacts. Tasmania's environmental activists have vowed to continue their fight in the wake of new anti-protest legislation passing through Parliament. The Bob Brown Foundation has slammed the move, but confirmed it won't be taking its frustrations to the High Court.
Passionate in their cause to defend the state's clean and green future, a tightening of anti-protest laws isn't being considered a barrier for these environmental warriors.
We've had a consensus across all our staff and our members that we should continue to uphold the laws of nature and protest for the defence of these wild places.
With the third attempt to pass the legislation successful, the Bob Brown Foundation has decided it won't take on a costly legal battle to contest the decision.
It would cost us perhaps $500,000 to pursue these laws into as far as the High Court. We'd rather put that money into directly and peacefully defending our forests.
But the government had little sympathy for the conservationists, pointing to the benefits it believes will come from the changes.
It's no surprise that the Bob Brown Foundation continue to believe that they should have one law that applies to themselves and a different law that applies to everybody else. And that's why I think it does highlight the importance of stronger penalties.
The activist firing back with a stern message for the man in the top job.
We have to say to Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe, when did you ever lift a finger to protect Tasmania's wild and scenic beauty?
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
High-profile security consultant known for helping Australians stranded in foreign prisons has spoken out following a Perth diving instructor being allegedly caught with heroin and methamphetamine in Bali. John McLeod has been called in to assist after working with Indonesian authorities in numerous situations.
He's going through withdrawals, 15 years of heroin to go cold turkey in a prison cell is not the optimum way to treat withdrawal. We are working with the Bureau of Narcotics and their professionals there.
If found guilty, Mr Walton could be facing decades in jail. A Launceston man undergoing chemotherapy has walked more than 80 kilometres this month in a bid to ensure no one else has to go through what he has. He is joining thousands raising money for prostate cancer research.
Fighting an uphill battle he didn't even know he had.
I was diagnosed back in March this year. It was an incredibly difficult and challenging time to receive such a diagnosis. I'm now in the tail end of my chemotherapy treatment.
Stuart Auckland, asymptomatic to prostate cancer.
The most scary thing has basically been the diagnosis itself. It's a life-changing experience.
He's been having chemotherapy every 3 weeks since June. But at the start of this month, he turned his attention to the long run, an event encouraging participants to walk 72 kilometres.
72% represents the number of men who are diagnosed with prostate cancer who are unable to get mental health support as a result of their diagnosis.
And he's already smashed that target, walking 6 kilometres a day when he's able. The whole event on track to raise nearly $2 million.
The money will go into support services, which will help improve quality of life. So it's research into finding a cure for prostate cancer.
Prostate cancer has the highest diagnostic rate in Tasmania of all cancers. It also has one of the highest 5-year survival rates if detected early.
Prostate cancer is overtaken breast cancer as the country's leading cause of death, with 66 men diagnosed every day with prostate cancer, and across Tasmania 560 men are diagnosed each year.
Urging everyone to get checked.
The PSA test is a very simple blood test. It's not traumatic in any way, or shape or form, and I would suggest that men over 50, particularly those that feel they may have a risk of prostate cancer, request with their GP that they get tested.
To donate, visit the Long Run's website. Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's budding scientists at Corpus Christi Catholic School have spent the day examining a simulated meteorite landing which crashed into the front of its campus. The set was designed to spark the students' sense of learning and discovery.
A lot of big questions like where's it come from and what's it made of, and even the language of what's a meteor or a meteorite or an asteroid, so it sparked lots of good discussions.
Emergency services also played their part in the experience to make the day as realistic as possible.
Let's turn to cricket now. The Tigers have flown to Brisbane to begin their season. They will face South Australia on Wednesday and Queensland on Friday in the Marsh One Day Cup. Their captain is confident they've assembled a list which can deliver success.
I think there's a lot of progression in this group. Super excited by the depth of bowling that we've brought in this year, and then our young batters who are coming through, the likes of Caleb Jewell and Tim Ward, Mac Wright.
Tasmania is naming a 14-man squad for the road trip. Veteran bowler Peter Siddle has been selected, but recruit Billy Stanlake won't play as he continues his recovery from injury. Tasmania has locked in 2 national championship events on next year's cycling calendar. The Silverdome will host the Track Elimination Championship as part of the Christmas Carnivals in late December, while mountain bikers will hit Derby's famed trails for the National Gravel Championship in June. Tamar Rowing Club's Henry Ewell has clinched bronze at the World Rowing Championships. His men's 8 crew held off challengers from the rest of the field to hang on to third behind the British and the Dutch. Delorain's Alexandra Viney also had success at the championships, taking home silver in the PR3 Women's Pair A final. Alex Peroni has enjoyed the obligatory champagne in the European Le Mans Series after finishing 3rd overall in the Pro-Am category. The Hobartians Algarve Pro Racing team could have finished higher if they hadn't copped a speed penalty in the second half of the race.
Good evening. Friendly Beaches was the state's top at 19 today, Hobart 18, 15 in Launceston and Devonport and 12 in Burnie. 17 at Maria Island and Ouse, and Helens and Grove 16, 14 at Low Head and 11 in Liaweenie. The satellite pictures show extensive low-level cloud covering most of the state today, with higher cloud across the north. An extensive area of cloud covers parts of the mainland extending into Tasmania, while a cold front can be seen over the Bight with cold air following behind, and there's some active thunderstorms over eastern Queensland. Tomorrow's chart shows a low forming to the southeast of the mainland with a high moving over the Bight and a cold front moving over southern oceans. East to southeasterly winds of 10 to 20 knots about the north, reaching up to 15 elsewhere, and west to southwesterly swells of 3 to 4 metres about the west and south. A possible shower in Hobart tomorrow, Adventure Bay partly cloudy and 15 in Tarraleah. A shower or 2 and 19 in Launceston, Devonport 17 and partly cloudy in Bridport. Burnie 15, a shower or 2 in Strahan and showers and 16 in Marrawar. Partly cloudy and 16 in St Helens and Swansea, and a shower or 2 in Whitemark. Showers about the west of the state on Wednesday, extending over the east and north during the morning and afternoon, mainly fine about the far northwest with areas of morning fog. Thursday, mainly fine about the southwest with showers elsewhere and snow possible above 800 metres. And Friday, showers about the east and southeast extending to central and northern parts of the state during the day, then mostly clearing in the evening, fine elsewhere with morning frost patches. 27 in Brisbane tomorrow, showers and a possible storm for Sydney. Melbourne rain and 17 degrees and 26 in Perth. And right now in Hobart it's cloudy and 12, raining in Launceston, Devonport showers and 11. And Kim, it appears you might be in the wrong colours.
Oh, Victoria. Although, yes, you're right, a bit of a fashion faux pas tonight. Congratulations to the Cats. And that is all your news for now. We'll be back later with updates. Thanks for your company tonight. Good night.